Last but not least, our final injury of the day, Alejandro Balde has torn his hamstring. And guys, this injury happened just moments ago, I believe less than an hour ago. Barcelona were playing Athletic Bilbao in a Copa del Rey knockout match. I believe it was the quarterfinal. And Alejandro Balde came off with a hamstring injury relatively early within the match. I'm just looking to see the exact minute here. It was minute 23 of the match, and he was forced off the pitch. He was able to walk off, but he was seen grabbing his hamstring. He was in tears. Not a great sight to see considering how young of a player he is. But we're going to get into it, and we're going to see exactly what muscles might be injured, what the possibilities might be. And of course, we will track this injury from start to finish. So if you guys haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and you guys will be able to see all of that in real time. So let's go ahead and pull up the actual hamstring here, and we will go through the latest update together, and we will take it from there. So major blow for Barcelona as a key player forced off with a serious looking hamstring injury against Athletic Club. It has been a terrible start for Barcelona in the Copa del Rey quarterfinal clash at Athletic Club in San Mamés. They fell behind after 36 seconds, yada, yada, yada. Things got worse in the early stages too, as Alejandro Balde was forced off with a serious-looking injury. The young defender was chasing a ball on the left flank when he pulled up Sharfish before falling to the ground, clutching his right hamstring. He immediately asked to be substituted and looked to be in a great deal of pain when leaving the field of play. So what exactly was going on with Balde? What muscles might have been injured? Let's go ahead and get to it. So let's go ahead and zoom out here. And let's go ahead and zoom in on our favorite muscle group, the hamstring. So we're going to be reviewing this diagram on this channel a lot because hamstring muscle injuries are super common in the world of soccer. In particular, they're super common specifically for this muscle right here. Guys, did you know the hamstring actually has 3 muscles? The hamstring has 3 muscles. You have your biceps femoris here, you have your semi-tendinosus here, and your semi-membranosus here. And most of the time in soccer players, it's going to be this big, beefy guy right here, the biceps femoris. And although FC Barcelona have not given any update to us at the recording of this video, typically, if a player immediately drops to the ground and they're having difficulty walking, that is a pretty significant sign that it is likely at least a grade 2 injury. That is a typical sign that is at least a grade 2 injury. So what exactly does that mean? There are different grades that we give to muscles when there is an injury, and that grade is determined on A, where the location is in the muscle, and B, how much of the muscle fibers were damaged as a result of the injury. So if you have what's called a grade 1 injury, and I'm going to go ahead and outline the hamstring muscle here in yellow, so you guys can see it pretty clearly. Typically, if you have what's called a grade 1 injury, that means only a small percentage of the muscle fibers were torn. So if you look at it, maybe it's a tear kind of like that, where it's only a very small portion of the hamstring muscle. With this, some players are able to actually finish the game. Some players have only minor pain and they're able to finish the game. They'll have no pain with walking. Typically, when you take a look at their hamstring, they have full mobility. They don't really have swelling or bruising or anything like that. Now, if a muscle grade injury is higher, let's say a grade 2, instead of a small percentage of the fibers being torn, it's typically up to around 50%. Somewhere between 0 and 50% of the muscle fibers being torn. And that tear might result in some bruising. It might result in some loss of range of motion. It might result in some swelling, and it will almost definitely result in the player not being able to finish the match. Now, the difference between a grade 1 and a grade 2 in terms of timeline is somewhat relatively similar. Typically, a grade 1 injury in soccer, it's anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. And for a grade 2, it's anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks. So there is quite a bit of overlap in those two injuries. And it's going to be very, very important for Balde to come back to complete full fitness before going back to playing, because as part of his position as part of his position as a fullback, he's going to have to do a lot of work in terms of running, in terms of sprinting, in order to keep up with the game. And in particular, what happens a lot is these fullbacks, there we go, is these fullbacks have to be able to sprint for hard and long distances. And these long sprints up and down the flank is often what predisposes these players to hamstring injury. There is a stat on GPS called high speed running. It's very similar to sprinting, except the threshold is a little bit lower. And if you do a lot of high speed running, if you do a lot of runs that are up and down the flank, those numbers are going to be very, very high. And the more those numbers swing up and down, the more your player is at risk for injury. So obviously, for Balde as a left back, being able to return to full fitness is going to be involving a lot of sprint work, a lot of high speed running, a lot of accelerations, decelerations. So typically in this position, it takes just a little bit longer for a player to return to full health after injury as compared to, let's say, a center midfielder or a center back. So that is it